Fire up the rumour mill, the sight of senior Porsche and Audi personnel in the Formula 1 paddock and joining a major meeting on future engine rules is bound to get people excited. Porsche and Audi bosses have been part of the discussions between F1's existing engine manufacturers, championship chiefs and the FIA over the next generation engine rules, and will be present for the latest one at the Austrian Grand Prix. It feels like the Volkswagen Group brands have been on the periphery of a Formula 1 engine programme forever. So what's their role in the current talks, how likely is it to translate into an actual F1 entry, and what's the deal with the 2025 engine rules anyway? We're going to be getting into all of those questions in this video. Make sure you dive into the comments to join the debate and have your say, and if you like what you see, you can leave us a thumbs up at any point. F1's next generation engine will be introduced in 2025. The discussions have broadly been over which technology to adopt and how to satisfy a universal desire to reduce the cost and complexity of F1's current engines. There is a high-level working group exploring all the options. It comprises current and potential engine manufacturers and fuel suppliers, including representation from the Volkswagen Audi Group. That's why VW-owned brands Porsche and Audi will join senior corporate personnel from Mercedes, Ferrari, Renault and Red Bull, as well as F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali, F1 Managing Director of Motorsport Ross Brawn and FIA President Jean Todt at a meeting in Austria. The talks will be the latest attempt to make progress in determining how to satisfy F1's stated objectives for 2025. These are environmental sustainability, social and automotive relevance, yes that's just one, fully sustainable fuel, creating a powerful and emotive power unit, significant cost reduction, and attractiveness to new power unit manufacturers. It will undoubtedly involve all of F1's existing manufacturers lobbying in their own interests. But Mercedes, Ferrari and Renault are all expected to continue, while Red Bull has already created a brand new powertrains division to build its own F1 engine for the first time. So while keeping the existing players around is important, F1 wants to tempt a new brand in entirely, which is why the presence of Porsche and Audi is important. Earlier this year, Domenicali claimed that there were very productive conversations with existing and potential manufacturers about the direction F1 is moving in. So the working group is not just a forum for F1 to sell its vision. It's also key in establishing what non-F1 manufacturers believe constitutes worthy technology and sensible opportunity for return on investment. Basically, F1's going to say what it wants to do, and potential new manufacturers like the VW brands say what they'd need to even entertain the idea of joining, and then everyone tries to work out if there's a way to align those positions. It's a complicated process, and it's no surprise that the meeting is set to have a fairly open agenda. That means finalising the 2025 engine regulations is likely to take several more months. It feels like a tale as old as time. F1 develops a new set of engine rules, the Volkswagen Group is involved in some way, and rumours begin to build of one of its brands joining the grid. An Audi involvement with Red Bull, a Porsche engine built for an existing team, or a fully fledged works entry. If anyone could do it, surely it's someone from the Volkswagen Group. But that's getting ahead of reality. F1 needs to be a realistic prospect for Porsche or Audi before we even think about how they might actually join the grid. The VW Group's current position is somewhere between treating it like a fact-finding mission and having serious potential interest in Formula 1. It's part of an ongoing evaluation process, and spokespeople for Porsche and Audi have confirmed to us that their participation in these meetings doesn't mean a decision to enter F1 will be taken in the near future. A few years ago, Porsche even went as far as building a test version of a hybrid F1 engine and still never went through with a commitment. So we shouldn't read too much into these bigwigs turning up in the same room as other people. What it does mean is that they are still interested, even if it's just hypothetical. That's why they want a seat at the table. Porsche has reiterated CEO Oliver Blume's comments from earlier this year, that the VW Group is looking at whether an entry into F1 would be attractive, but no decision has been made yet. The two VW brands compete together in Formula E and will return to the Le Mans 24 Hours in 2023 in the LMDH category. Though Porsche is committed to staying in Formula E in the medium term as well, Audi is withdrawing from the electric single-seater series as part of a restructured motorsport programme it says is based on three pillars: the Dakar Rally, LMDH and customer racing. On the automotive side, Audi is also phasing out combustion engines and plans to make its range all electric from 2026. You'd think that would rule Audi out of F1 completely, but apparently it doesn't. A spokesperson told us, of course Audi is always monitoring the global development of all racing series. For this, we are also holding general talks with the FAA about the future of F1. A decision about possible involvement is not pending at the moment. In other words, don't expect any imminent news on Porsche or Audi committing to Formula 1, but don't rule it out entirely. Broadly, F1 is going to bet on a combination of so-called fully sustainable fuels, a V6 internal combustion engine, and increased electric power. Using supposedly carbon-neutral fuels as the sustainability focal point appears to be a guaranteed element. It's the only specific part of the new engine rules that F1 and the FIA have committed to. The process will begin in 2022 with the introduction of a 10% ethanol mix. Late last year, the FIA claimed to have distributed to engine manufacturers what it called a 100% sustainable fuel compatible with the current engines. The fuel was refined using bio-waste, not intended for human or animal consumption. The intention was to create a real example of the kind of fuel F1 wants to introduce in 2025 and demonstrate that the technology works. Engine manufacturers and fuel partners were then tasked with testing and validating this fuel. F1 reckons this can make V6 hybrid engines satisfy its own sustainability and carbon neutrality objectives and be relevant to automotive manufacturers without the championship having to go all electric or pursue immature technology such as hydrogen power. Exactly what composition that hybrid technology takes is to be decided, but it is likely the electrical power output will increase. This has opportunistically been targeted as up to 50% electric power, with a possible adjustment to the energy recovery system to place more emphasis on kinetic energy. The other key question is how this is all achieved within the stated goal of reducing costs, because there's still plenty of development to undertake to make the 2025 engines happen. F1's already started the process of cutting engine spending by freezing development from 2022 to 2024. It did that to safeguard the future of existing manufacturers. But cost control is also likely to be key to bringing in a new brand like one of the VW Group entities. All of F1's continuing engine manufacturers and Red Bull have identified an engine development cost cap as an important element, but there's unsurprisingly plenty of wrangling over what that figure should be. And remember, if VW did commit a company to F1, it would have to invest to match the infrastructure of the likes of Mercedes and Ferrari. So even when everyone agrees let's keep the costs down, there are still different positions for each competitor within that. Finding the right compromise is a long and arduous task. It's why these meetings are so important to establish what exactly the championship's future will look like and who's going to be a part of it. So we've got two questions for you. Do you think F1's going to be successful in courting the VW Group? And if it is, then which of Porsche or Audi would you like to see join the grid? Let us know in the comments, give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to join us again for more videos in the future.